You are listening to the Nosy Dragon. I'm your dungeon master / innkeeper, Jason. I am joined by my player / patron, Ben.
A grand evening to you.
In today's episode, we talk all about metallic dragons. This episode was made possible in part by the Ring of Vipian.
Oof. Oh.
So, are you going on any quests? Are you available for any questing? Because there's this wizard who's he's unturned this friggin'. Okay, so there's a long time ago there was a book and it had this spell in it, and it's just it's really not good. Okay, and if it gets into the hands of mortals, it's gonna wreak havoc. And I don't want to kill him. I don't want you to kill him. I just need you to capture him and bring him here so that I can wipe his memory. Okay.
Okay.
That information was lost to time, and it's supposed now he's hired bodyguards. Okay. So it's going to be tough to get to him. And, I don't condone the killing of the bodyguards, but,
if push comes to shove. Look, I will do anything to get out of the house at this point. You remember last time I brought in that egg with the red dragon in it?
Uh-huh.
Oh, it has been quite the time trying to raise that thing, so I'll take whatever you got. Need the wizard captured, not killed. Don't kill the guards. Terrible, fire and brimstone journey. I'll take it. Let's do it. I'm here for it.
Bring the little guy by, man. Spend a year with me, and he will care for law and justice.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that would be huge.
Why do you think you care about uphold law and order?
I just thought that was just some part of my thing, Good bard, dude. Actually, hold on, wait a second. No, I'm pretty sure that mentality changed after I met you.
Mm-hmm. It's because you live like a mile from my tavern.
Well, yeah.
It's pretty much. It's like rough. I've never exactly measured it, but it's kind of like within 6 miles of my home. Creatures tend to value fairness and justice over their personal feelings. I don't know.
I feel a little violated by that, but also I trust and respect you, so I'm gonna let it slide. And a lot of good has come to my life through that change. So,
what'd you name the little sucker?
Josh. Fitting name, don't you think?
Yeah.
Well. Anyways, enough.
I'll have to fireproof the tavern.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man, I didn't. I tried to do a little prepping. It was not enough. Oh boy.
I'll bring a witch. She'll make the tavern sentient, and then I'll put a ring of elemental control.
What?
Ring of elemental.
What do you mean elemental command?
And then the building will then be immune to fire.
Wow, you should tell the fire brigade that. At least for the more expensive homes.
Then you have a lot of sentient houses, and that's complicated.
They start rebelling. They start asking for their own taxes.
Is terrible. Because they like some homeowners and they don't like others, and so you can pay a lot of gold for a house, and then the house doesn't want you to live in it, and
oof.
Yeah.
Real estate agent's nightmare.
Also, sometimes they like to move. They
God,
they want to change the scenery, and then you're in a whole new tax bracket because your house decided to plop itself down and Beverly Hills.
Real estate. Damn. Some people that works. Couldn't be me though.
And your commute is 6 hours from 5 minutes. It's it's a whole thing.
See, I feel like with you, you'd be able to get a good hold on the house on the inn here.
Well, of course. I mean, the house, after living with me for 1 year, would care about fairness.
That is so strange. That is an integral part of my character now. And it wasn't
My
before.
charm runs off on people. What can I say?
Very literally and somewhat unconsensually. Let's. What are we talking about again tonight?
Metallic dragons.
Hey, what a perfect topic. Because I'm dying to learn more now.
Yeah, man.
Yes. So metallic dragons, the counterparts to the chromatics.
So obviously, we're gonna start with the best dragon of all. The goal. Oh no, wait. So we should start with the first dragon in the pecking order. The from the least to greatest. We'll start with the
Oh,
brass.
yes.
Get down to
Brass
brass
dragon.
tacks.
Here we go. So there are what, 7 metallic dragons total, correct? Or is it 6?
It's 5.
5. Well, I
There's
guess.
5 of each. There's
Oh,
more of all, but the
right.
core dragons that are in the monster manual that you're given when you buy the monster manual that's published with every new edition.
Yes.
There's typically the 5 core metallic and chromatic dragons. And
Yes.
for metallic dragons, that's brass, copper, bronze, silver, and gold in that order from least to greatest.
Gotcha. Yes, brass dragons. I've met a brass dragon or two in my journeys. Very talkative folk. They'll chat with you for just about anything, or so I've heard.
I tend to avoid the other types of dragons, so
Yeah, I mean, it's also.
it's not out of like anger or hatred. I just kind of keep to my own.
Yeah, you like your privacy. That's
Yeah,
that's that's something that.
I don't advertise that I'm a gold dragon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
People think that the name of the tavern is just
that's like a pun. Okay,
yeah.
that is fair. You're. I was about to say there's a lot of advertising happening, but perhaps it's not the fact that you yourself are a gold dragon, right?
Yeah, I mean, you only know because I told you.
Yes, I wouldn't have guessed otherwise. I mean, now seeing you, the hair and the eyes, it makes sense. But when I first met you, obviously that wasn't the case. Um, right, but brass dragons. So I'll give a little rundown on what I know from my adventures, since you're a little bit more on the reclusive side. So from what I know about brass dragons,
I mean, I know plenty about them. I haven't, I've studied a lot.
okay. Well, then how about this? You share me the information that you know about them, and then I'll share about my personal encounters with these kinds of dragons.
Well, I know that they've got 4 legs and 2 wings and can breathe a form of some element.
Okay, great. So let me share with you what I know of brass dragons. So, brass dragons, they tend to make their lairs in sort of high, rocky caves. They like dry heat and sunlight, so they frequent like hot, arid areas, and they'll whether you're friend, foe, fighting them or loving them, they will talk your ears off because they love conversation. A lot of them learn multiple different kinds of languages, and they travel all around, and they love interactions with mortals. I think that's one thing with metallic dragons in general, especially compared to chromatic dragons, is their fascination and involvement with humanoid creatures, other sentient beings, is a lot more prevalent.
It's pretty consistent throughout the metallic dragons.
Definitely. I mean, some dragons are a little bit more reclusive, but for the most part, there's always some connection to mortal kind.
So depending on the lore that you choose to follow as the official canon, one of the lore for how dragons came to be, one of the origins of dragons was Eos dropped dragons from the sky
Whoa.
and they rained down onto the planet a long time ago, into the material planes, I guess, not the planet.
Yes.
Um, so yeah, and that was before any other creatures existed. So dragons existed on the material plane before the material plane really even took form.
Mm.
Now that's not the most prevalent origin story for the creation, but it's one of them.
Yes.
And so I think it's kind of like, if you think of it in that nature, it's kind of like Eos created two sides, like light and dark. And
Mm.
so it's like the metallic and the chromatic dragons are made to reflect each other in the negative, you know, is opposites.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. The sort of equal parts, good and evil, the scales tipping. You know, that's very, very
Yeah.
interesting. There are a lot of different theories for the origins of the dragons, but I
So
like that
if
one.
chromatic dragons like to hoard and to hide and
Mm.
to lie and to kill and to have power, and then it would be reasonable to presume that metallic dragons would do the opposite, that they'd
Yeah.
be more charitable and involved and caring and would invest themselves into what's going on.
Mm. Definitely. And they all do it in different ways. I love to think that, especially in the Eos kind of theory of dragons, that when they were first dropped onto the material plane, there was very little on the material plane. And since dragons have a tendency to affect and warp and change nature around them, then maybe that is what formed the continents to be what they are. Like where a bronze dragon was dropped, since they're mostly connected to water, deep oceans would form. Brass dragons would, their hot passion would radiate into deserts. I don't know. I think that's something that's exciting and interesting to think about.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Back to brass dragons. They breathe fire. Like you said, every dragon has a different element. Interesting. Brass dragons and gold dragons have that same sort of connection, even though they're on opposite ends of the sort of pecking
Power
order.
spectrum.
Yeah. And of course, each dragon, their scales reflect the sort of metal that they respond. So they have this bright, burnished, almost reddish tinge to their brass scales. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes the dragons, the ancient ones especially, will have some sort of something in their scales that kind of reflect what that metal looks like when it's rusted.
Hmm. Oh, interesting.
So if you look at like copper dragons, they have like that oxidized copper look
Yes, the
melded in their
green.
wings and their tail. Yeah.
Oh,
And the
that's.
brass dragons have a bit of that too,
Mm.
as well as the bronze, because they're all kind of the same
All of them have a
metal.
similar sort of tinge of copper to them.
Yeah,
It's
I
true.
could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure bronze and brass are both made by mixing copper into it. So
I think that's true. One's copper and tin, and the other is um,
I don't know.
brass. Yeah,
Brass.
it's
Yeah, so one's copper and tin, the other one's brass and copper, and it's like what? That's how you.
no, 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 no. No, no. Bronze is copper and tin, and then brass is copper and I think zinc.
Zinc.
Yeah, zinc.
Yeah, brass is composed of copper and zinc. I googled it.
Oh, how convenient. Good thing that you golden dragons have Google. It's one of your
Yeah,
features.
Google is this little fairy I keep under my bar here. Yeah, hello.
Wow, you know literally everything.
I
That's.
do.
I was always wondering what he was referring to, but that's
All right,
fantastic.
I'm gonna put him back in this jar.
All right. But yeah,
If he
like,
listens too much, then he'll start telling other people what about you,
oh
your
boy,
personal
oh god.
information. So
Yeah, I don't want
he's really
Google
not
to
good
hear
with
everything.
privacy.
Oh man, definitely need some help on that those privacy matters. But yeah, like silver dragons, silver uh, when it ages, it can tarnish and darken, so you can see a lot more darkening under the wings of silver dragons.
Hmm.
Um, and
Yeah,
gold.
silver kind of turns black, but the silver dragon doesn't really turn black. It's like more of like a darker silver kind of
Yeah, a
like
darkish
a less
accent.
shiny. Yeah.
And I don't know what gold looks like when
No,
it ages.
it doesn't. That's the beauty of gold.
Oh yeah,
It does not oxidize in any way at all, as it is one of the least reactive metals
right.
in existence.
ah,
It
it's.
is divinity dropped from the heavens.
I can hear. I'm sure if there was anyone else in this bar right now, they would all be rolling their eyes. But I think you have every right to talk highly of yourself.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm just talking about how gold does not tarnish
Right,
or
right.
degrade over
Of
time, and
course, of course. There's
it's not
just
affected by its environment.
it's just a fact about the metal, not anything to
Yeah.
say about you in particular. No, of course not. All right. So, yes, brass dragons, they're good. Just know that if you bump into one, they'll talk your ear off, and it'll probably be in the dying heat of the sun. So, be careful.
I wonder if they're supposed to be the reflection, the shadow, or whatever, however you'd say it, the sister of the green dragon. Because green dragons also love to talk, but in a manipulative way.
Oh, maybe. Yeah. That definitely could be it. I mean, it's something I don't know if it directly reflects the pecking order,
Hmm.
the way that their personalities compare, but that's a very like astute observation. That definitely could be it. I can definitely see silver dragons and blue dragons having that same sort of uh, coalition connection between them.
Yeah.
Right. All right. Well, let's move on to the next one. So up next are what? Brass, then
Then it's copper.
copper. Copper dragons. Yes. I love copper dragons. I think they're a grand time. They're great to have around. They're uh why don't you say first what you know about them, and then I'll share my personal experience after.
Well, their breath weapons are interesting.
Hmm.
So again, they use. I'm pretty sure it's fire. Um, no, it's
Hmm.
acid. I'm sorry. No, it's
Acid.
acid.
Yeah.
But instead of, I think the black dragon's acid breath, I think is a cone.
Yes,
Theirs is a line.
that is one other thing that I have picked up on is very commonly they there's a sort of correlation between cone breath and line breath, depending on whether you're chromatic or
Oh no, the
metallic.
black dragon is also a line. Okay.
Hmm.
Whatever. Anyway, but their other breath is a sleepy, slowing breath,
Ooh,
uh, and it halves your speed.
interesting.
I think it does some other stuff too, but yeah. Um, Copper dragons are also known to be really good hosts.
Hmm. Yes.
That's pretty much it.
Well, from what I know about copper dragons, is that they are uh, absolute pranksters. They love telling jokes and riddles and pretty much anything to get a laugh. They're very lighthearted dragons.
Jovial. Mm.
Yeah, definitely. Like if you have a copper dragon come into your party, it's gonna be a good time, almost guaranteed. Even if you're on the butt end of a joke, they normally don't go too far. Um,
They like
they,
games,
yeah.
music. They're generous.
It's no question why I get along well with them. Um, but yeah, they love their jokes and will eat just about anything that you put in front of them. Definitely, you'll find um, copper dragons in sort of dry uplands, mountains, or rocky lands. Usually, like places that share a similar tinge to their coat, like
Mm.
red mesas or gorges like that.
Hmm.
Um, And yeah, they're generally very good-natured dragons. I don't think
Curious.
they think they lay a little bit further on the chaotic side compared to other dragons, but still very much good.
Yeah, they're all about curiosity and beauty,
Mm,
the spice of life.
yes. That is one other thing. Just before we move on, is that I mean, it's obvious now in this conversation that I'm having with you, but metallic dragons have the ability to change form, which chromatic dragons
Yeah,
don't.
yeah.
Do you know the reason for that? Like why that is?
Well, it's because we were blessed by Bahamut to be able to aid as his servants better.
Hmm.
And Bahamut loves to walk among the mortals in immortal form as well.
Oh,
You know, it's one of the
really?
best ways to help people is to get on their level. When
Hmm.
you're helping them from a position of power, it often creates an imbalance in the relationship dynamic. But if the person
Right.
that is helping you seems to be on your level of economic and status, and connection, you feel much more comfortable to be at ease and to be yourself and to be vulnerable and to be authentic. Where if people
Hmm.
knew that I was a gold dragon, right, running this tavern, well, then they probably also assume that I have access to relationships, to people in high places, that I have access to great wealth, and that I have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to information and power and spells and magic and divinity and
Right.
all that stuff.
Which you do, but
And
uh,
it would make them feel less than or small, or they would maybe like lean to the side of worship or try to
hmm.
behest me into granting them some sort of goodwill, where that might really not be what they need. And in that moment, what they really need is someone to just listen to them,
Wow.
or they're carrying a heavy bag of potatoes or something, and there's just someone to help them carry it down the road. Is so much more meaningful for their experience of life than an act of kindness, an act of charity in that way is so much more meaningful than if I were to give them a mountain of treasure that they couldn't spend in 9 lifetimes.
Right. Yeah.
Is not necessarily going to have the same impact that it can if I can be with them in that mortal perspective,
Hmm.
and if I'm wearing clothing and carrying things with them on that way. And I think that was kind of Bahamut's mission and his guide, his purpose for creating the metallic dragons to be kind of like angels. Not to
Hmm.
say that I'm an angel, as a gold dragon, I am dragon, not celestial, but in a way, dragons are kind of celestial. If you look at a lot of
Hmm.
especially Asian kind of mythology and yeah, mythology. I guess I was going to say something about lore, and I was like, wait, what? Um, Dragons are great signs of prosperity. They're good omens. Are
Yes.
dragons, and it's dragons are kind of more related to the evil, the serpent, the Lucifer. When you go to like the Western culture, kind
Yeah.
of in Europe,
European.
that's where you find dragons represent the serpent, which is like Lucifer, which is like evil.
Hmm.
So it's kind of metallic dragons are to represent kind of the Eastern Asia kind of perspective of
Ah.
dragons being this divine, helpful thing. And I think you'll find in a lot of, I don't know this, I'm just kind of educated guessing, that you'll find in a lot of Asian mythology, dragons will take human form because the dragons are seen as more of a spirit than a physical beast.
Yes. Right. Definitely. They share that kind of more divine
Like
role.
in the movie Princess, no, not Princess Mononoke,
Mulan.
there's Bathhouse one,
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away, the swamp monster. It smells like horrible, and
Yes.
Sin bathes him anyway and reveals that he's an ancient river spirit,
Yeah.
and he takes the form of a dragon with an old man's face.
Mm.
And Haku, her friend that helps her escape the bathhouse, is also a river spirit who also takes the form of a dragon.
Yeah. Yeah. That sort of winding, long dragon
And they fly without
representation.
wings
Yeah.
because they're seen as like spirits and and holy, and So it's like angels almost.
Yeah. I definitely can see that connection. And it also makes a lot of sense as to why the chromatic dragons would have no care nor interest in becoming sharing a humanoid form, because that's sort of getting
Yeah.
on the level of
Yeah.
another humanoid. There's no interest there for them in
They have too
that.
much pride. They're like, no, I am perfection. My red dragon body is the pinnacle of evolution and creation,
Yeah.
and everything was, made as an inferior, to me for me to rule over it and to subjugate it.
Oh my god, how many times I've heard that out of Josh's mouth, Dragon Josh. I've heard that out of Josh's mouth too, but that's another story. Um,
Yeah.
anyways, thank you for delineating that. I definitely want to hear more about Bahamut, but let's get through the rest of the dragons here first.
Yeah, so I think that's why you'll find that all ancient metallic dragons have the ability to change their shape into a humanoid or beast. And I think beast is important there because also I think you'll find in a lot of Asian mythology, um, great spirits taking the form of like deer or something like that.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, like great animal spirits.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of that.
Mhm.
Cool. Great. So we've covered brass. We've covered copper. What's next?
Bronze. We're entering the Bronze Age.
The Bronze Age. I find it funny that all of the ages of man also correlate to the types of metals that you see here. The
Is
brass
there a Brass
age.
Age and a Copper Age?
I don't know if there was a copper age. I think there was an iron age, but I know that there was a brass, a bronze, a silver, and a gold.
Weird.
Yeah. I think it may have some historical correlation. I don't know, but that's my hypothesis at least. But yes, bronze dragons. Tell me about them. What do you know?
Bronze dragons are lightning related, so they have immunity to lightning damage. They have a lightning breath weapon, and it's a line, which I'm pretty sure blue dragons are also a line.
Yes,
Um, so I guess it would have been cool to see a cone.
a cone of
Uh,
lightning. That would be
yeah, that'd be
insane.
cool. They also have repulsion breath, which pushes people away. Back off, fool. They're amphibious, so they breathe air and water. Water.
Water.
And they are lawful creatures. They love law. They're also known to get their dirty little noses up into the wars of man. By man, I mean the common race,
Yes.
like uh, elves, humans, dwarves, gnomes,
Yes.
halflings, and I guess now dragonborn.
I suppose, yeah. And
Tieflings,
orcs
strangely enough.
as well.
Well, yeah, orcs
Well,
can, depending on the culture, orcs are not seen as common race. They're seen as monstrous.
unfortunate. I mean,
It depends. It depends on the continent, I guess.
yes, I've
Depends
been
on the
around
setting.
enough to see, depends on the campaign to break character. But
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely, yeah. Because it's like, yeah, orcs sometimes are just monsters, but sometimes orcs will have like a nation or a city or whatever.
Yeah.
But is strictly when I say common races, I mean the races that you can play in the player's handbook.
Right. Of course.
So elf, human, dwarf, halfling, half elf,
No.
gnome, tiefling, half orc. I think I might have said that. I don't know.
You did not say half orc. That's why I said orc, but I was like,
Yeah,
is half orc really
yeah,
like a nation?
yeah.
But
And I guess now with 1D&D, like half dwarves and half
yeah.
halflings, half
Half
gnomes.
halflings. Oh man. That's
I don't
that's
know.
gonna be some odd combination. If someone's just a little too short, you know where they came
Yeah,
from.
yeah.
Their lineage.
Did you have a
Um,
half elf that's like half dark elf and half high elf?
a half
Anyway,
elf.
all that to say, bronze dragons love to get into the conflicts of man by men I mean common race. And what that means is they will often, when they see a war is happening,
Yeah.
they will assess the war and try to figure out which side they feel favors good.
Mm.
And then they will join that side and ally with it, and they'll become, as it's often referred to, staunch allies. And
Yes.
they will fight on that behalf of that kingdom in order to help them win. So you got to watch out for that.
Definitely. Do not want to end up on the opposite side of a bronze
Yeah.
dragon for sure.
I'm not 100% on this, but I'm pretty sure you'll often find a bronze dragon's lair will overlook a shipping area where there's lots of boats that come in and out. So it could be like a city coast or like a fishing village, because they like to watch the boats set out to sail and things like that.
Yes, definitely. That I've heard pretty much all the same stuff that you have about bronze dragons. At least I think you've pretty much covered them. They like, of course, being near the water. I hear that they are the natural enemies of creatures like aboleths and other like undersea dark creatures. That they mostly keep them at bay from the coasts and help keep those coastal cities that are thriving. But yes, they are very, very. They take pride in their combative abilities, and
Yeah. They also, it's weird because it's like, well, they have layers that often will look over the sea. Sometimes they'll also have layers underwater because, again, they
yes,
can breathe water. And so maybe they'll like have a nest, I guess we can call it, up
mm,
above the coast line, like, but they'll often keep their hoard underwater,
yeah, that must be frustrating for all the other dragons who can't
like in a
swim.
sunken warship or something.
Yeah, everything but a black dragon is like, man, fuck
Or
those
Atlantis.
bronzes. I'm sure a bronze dragon's hoard is full of spoils of war and trophies and whatnot, as
Yeah.
that's where they find their value.
Well, I mean, as a gold dragon, I can also breathe air and water and swim quite fluidly. But
Nah, I definitely can see that there are some differences laid out between bronze dragons and gold dragons. Is I'm from what I know of gold dragons, they're a lot less apt towards violence. They'll fight for
yeah,
when they need to, but if they can parlay and work things out
yeah,
through,
bronze dragons are literally described as war machines.
yeah, they are very terrifying, but they still side on the air of good and justice. Um, it's so it's a little bit of a mixed deal. Like you want to be very careful as to what you define as good, and I can definitely see situations where wars that seem good but are being put on by corrupt leaders for nefarious purposes can kind of twist things.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, war.
yes, but still, they're strong upholders of the of rights and justice. They also definitely find humanoids interesting. They get very, very involved in the affairs of the happenings, politics, things
It's
along
a
those
common
lines.
trait. You're gonna find the metallic dragons.
Yes,
We care.
we care.
Yeah.
All right. So
They
moving.
also defend people's right to privacy.
That was. Oh yeah. So on to. Hold on. Sorry, I'm getting a spam mind message. It's someone's trying to. I've been getting this over and over. Someone's trying to inform me about my wagon's extended warranty, and I don't own a wagon.
The best way to stop that kind of thing is perfect. Is can't come with a better collaboration. We're actually sponsored
Oh.
by the Ring of Vipian. Yeah, let me tell you about the Ring of Vipian. This portion of this episode is sponsored by the Ring of Vipian. While wearing the Ring of Vipian, you are immune to magic that allows creatures to access your personal information, like read your thoughts, determine whether you're lying, know your alignment, access your planar location data, or
Ooh.
know your creature type. The ring, and you're going to love this part, the ring also blocks creatures from telepathically communicating with you unless you allow it.
Oof.
Also, this is great. Also, you can use an action to cause the ring to become invisible until you use another action to make it visible until you remove the ring or until you die, so that you can keep your privacy private.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
If you sign up today and use our command word Nosy Dragon, you can get 30-day free trial and 10% off your first 6 months of the Ring of Vipian. Ring of Vipian. We'll mind your mind for you.
Wow. That sounds fantastic. Honestly, like I've been getting so many of these messages, and I love the fact that you can turn it invisible because, sometimes you got that
Yeah.
person that you know who's always reaching out to you for this and that, and you don't really like hate the person, but you also don't want them to know that you're like blocking all their
Blocking them.
messages.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
oof,
Also, if you're in a zone of truth, and someone's forcing you to speak the truth, obviously they just tell you to take the ring off if they knew you were wearing it.
yo, absolutely, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's
But this
super
way you're free to
convenient.
lie, even in the zone of truth, you're good to go.
Ah, man, and the planar locations thing, they don't let you know what planar location you're on, right?
Yeah, so like locate creature, or find creature does not work on you if you're
Wow.
wearing the Ring of Vipian.
Oh my god, that's so
Yeah.
convenient. That's, whew. I mean, I would feel a lot safer wearing something like that.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, personally I don't use it because I I I don't, I'm kind of a public kind of person. Like I don't mind.
Yeah.
Sometimes, actually I leave out little symbols that kind of magically appear to people who need to find me, and then those kind of lead them to me.
Oh
So
wow.
like little symbols of like a gold dragon like appear on something,
Yeah, I can
kind of
definitely see that. I can. That's a
to
very
my
you thing
to our tavern.
for sure.
Pretty sure that's how you found me.
Was it? Now that you mention it, I did. I
Yeah.
thought I was
You were
hallucinating
very
shit,
disoriented
man. I
and you
yeah.
just kind of stumbled in.
Mm. I
Yeah. I gave you your first drink for free, I remember.
Mm. Wow. And man, what a drink it was. I don't think
Yeah.
I'll forget it to this
Just
day.
11 years ago.
Wow, man.
Flies by in a flash.
It does. It does. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure
Just
much
just
more for
wait.
you.
In another 120 years, Josh is going to be, oh, you'll be dead. But don't worry, I'll walk over.
Oh boy. I'll probably haunt this place.
Yeah. The terrible 200s. That's what they say.
The terrible 200s. Whew. Oh man. Wow.
All right. Silver dragons.
Silver dragons. Right. So tell me what you know.
Silver dragons are kind of chilly. They're cold.
Hmm.
Cold guys. Um, yeah. They, I don't know if they're cold to the touch, but they use,
Probably.
I have no idea. Might be a
Hmm.
choice, something they can do.
Hmm.
I was looking at their regional effects, and I don't see anything about it being cold in their regional effects, which I guess kind of goes with like cold is kind of seen as a negative thing,
Yeah.
so they wouldn't want that, I guess. But cold breath, they shoot out a cone of cold,
Hmm.
and paralyzing breath. They can paralyze you.
Ooh, that's scary.
Of course, they can change shape. We've talked about this.
Hmm.
Yeah, they fly like all the other ones.
Now,
uh,
I hear that they really enjoy flying. I think that of the dragons, their wings are the largest. They have the widest wingspan. And since they live so
really?
high up in the mountains and up in the cold airs, they really enjoy flying. Um, um, they are definitely, like, as far as it comes to like levels of good and lawful, they're way up on the lawful scale. They have a very deep sense of honor and duty to protecting the innocent and healing their injuries. They definitely have a sort of
Paladin.
yeah, they're very paladin-esque. That same sort of pride and duty that a paladin holds. They share that sentiment for sure. Mm. They are also, despite their like impressive stature, are also non-violent. And are, like try to avoid combat when possible. I think they think themselves above it. Uh, Thus the paralyzing breath. And you'll often
Is it
find
true that a silver dragon's lair is often referred to as a court?
a court. I have heard that. I was about to say that some of them stand in like positions of politics and try to involve themselves in having things like laws and jurisdiction
Yeah.
legislation be
So silver dragons are lawful good in kind of the outwardly way, where gold dragons are lawful good in the personal way.
yes, exactly. I think that that definitely uh, that tracks for sure. So they'll boldly state and uh, make strong outward action towards having things be directed towards good and law, while golden dragons, from what I know, and from what you've told me, tend to act more in the background and try to influence more the long game in what little ways that they can with each creature that they
Mhm.
interact with.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
yeah.
silver dragons kind of feel like it's their duty
Mm.
as an elder member of the species to guide other people.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I've met I think the prime minister for a little while was a silver dragon, and he did a lot. There was a lot of good change while he was in position, but something happened. He had uh, some duty that he had to attend to. Um, some great monster that arise that you know felt
Yeah,
called for.
and silver dragons are by no means pacifists, but they really see violence is kind of uncouth and a last resort.
Yeah. That's what I was saying. Is that what I mean by like being above violence is not that they are non-violent. They're incredibly powerful beings, but they definitely see themselves violence as being a sort of barbaric, uncivilized way to deal with situations.
Yeah,
For sure, for sure. And yeah, they can definitely seem rather cold from an outward perspective. Very calculating and like
yeah,
big
altruistic
picture. Yeah, definitely.
leaders,
Mm.
commanders in sense.
Do you feel like you get along with silver dragons? I mean, I know you don't really spend a lot of time with a lot of the other dragons. You've said that, but
Hard to say. I could. There could be silver dragons that I hang out with that I think are people. I
yeah,
don't know.
that's true.
I've definitely met some seemingly normal common race that had a particularly strange smell to them. Not
Hmm.
bad, but just something, you know, unfamiliar in a way, you
Hmm.
know. So it's possible that I know a silver dragon or two, but
Huh.
I'm not sure. I definitely have. I've met. So there's like a. I guess you could call it a convention that a lot of the dragons, metallic
Huh.
dragons, go to. It's kind of. It's more of a religious thing, but it's not so religious in the mortal way of religion, which is like
Right.
worshiping and whatever, but more like
Tithes.
getting together to communicate and share as a community. Um, and yeah, it's funny. We actually all go in humanoid form, and
Huh.
we call it just like a regular festival. And so there are regular people there too that just have no idea what we're talking about.
Oh wow.
which I think is a lot of fun, and it kind of fits in with our, anyway. But Bahamut will show up and just kind of give us,
Oh
kind of
wow.
feedback on what we can do better, and we do that like every 100 years. So
Wow, that's I mean, of course, from a mortal perspective, that's a long time, but I'm sure for the dragons, that's actually pretty consistent. Like that's
yeah,
not too
so we'll,
long.
we'll, we'll swap stories and kind of talk about
Mm.
how things are going in our neck of the woods. And so yeah, I've definitely hung out with silver dragons and bronze and copper and brass there, and a bunch of other gold dragons. But man,
More
I'd love to be in the entourage of Bahamut one day.
wow, man. I mean, I wonder if I've ever met Bahamut. I guess I wouldn't know. I mean,
Well, he's pretty easy to distinguish if you know what to look for. He always has 7 canaries that follow him around.
oh,
Those
interesting.
canaries are actually gold dragons in disguise.
No way.
Yeah,
Wow. That's
yeah.
oh man. Have I met anyone with 7 gold canaries?
I don't know if they'd be gold, but just
Or yeah,
they
well, I
just kind
guess
of they just kind of hang out. They're nearby. Sometimes it depends. It depends on the sea. Sometimes if he's showing up in a religious capacity to give revelation to someone, the canaries will float around him kind of like a halo. But
oh wow.
otherwise, they'll just be around. So like there might be one in a tree over there, and maybe one on his shoulder. But it's not super obvious all the time.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I feel like I've met someone who had a canary, or at least one that I was there.
Were they a minor?
Uh
Because minors often carry canaries
they
with
were not
them.
a minor. They were
Okay.
I would be very upset to know the canary that they carried for that reason, but damn.
Oh my gosh.
Mm.
Well, let's talk about gold dragon.
I'm sure this you've been itching to share about this one. I don't even have anything I need to share. You go ahead. You take the helm on this one.
Well, actually, I don't know much about gold. So as we mentioned earlier, gold dragons are amphibious as well, so they can breathe water and air.
Mm,
Now, they don't necessarily hang out a lot in the water, but it's just kind of an option. As gold dragons, they're kind of in the older brother position in the family of dragons. In a sense, they need to be able to watch over all of their kind of metaphorically speaking younger siblings. And so, if I couldn't swim well and breathe water, it might be hard for me to check up on the bronze dragon. So
right.
that's kind of sort of the thing. And kind of, it's a gold dragon supposed to represent the best of all of them. And so it just makes sense that
Right.
I can do that. So their breath weapon is fire, and it's a cone. And then the kind of spiritual breath weapon is another way to, I guess, say it is a weakening breath.
Mm.
And that makes people have disadvantage on strength based skill checks and,
Wow.
D20 roll. What do we call them? D20 checks.
Yeah.
Roll.
A
Forgot
D20
already.
check. Yeah, I think a
Something like
D20
that.
test.
D20 test. Thank you. Obviously, you can change shape into humanoid or beast,
Mm.
which is something we talked about. And then in our last episode, we sponsored the Nosy Dragon. We talked about some of the regional effects, which all of the dragons have really interesting regional effects, even the chromatic ones.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so gold dragons, they can kind of enter the dreams of people who sleep within a 6 mile radius or enter a state of
Mm-hmm.
trance. And these people they establish a telepathic link with the dragon, and then they can converse. And when they wake up, they remember the conversations they had quite vividly.
Mm.
So it's not like they wake up and they're like, "Oh, did I have a dream?" It's like they were visited.
Right.
Um, Also, if they enter a state of reverie, like kind of like, "Oh wow, this place is so gorgeous and beautiful,"
Mm.
gold dragons can connect with those people and uh, to establish a telepathic link. Also, like beautiful opulescent mist manifests in 6 miles the dragon's lair. Mist doesn't obscure stuff though. It's not like a fog. It's like a gentle mist that's
Kind of
beautiful and
outlines your view as you walk. It's nice.
hmm And then it will assume kind of a haunting form uh, when evil creatures are near um, the dragon or any non-evil creature in the mist, kind of warning them that the
Hmm.
dangerous evil creature is nearby. So it'll show up around evil creatures, and it'll also show up um, around good people, letting you know there's an evil creature nearby. Um, Gems and pearls within a 1 mile, sparkle and gleam, shedding dim light in a 5 foot radius.
Hmm.
Um, Gold dragons like to eat treasure. They can eat just
What?
about anything, but they prefer to eat things like gems and pearls. And they don't need to eat these things. Like they can eat anything, but it's something that they do enjoy. It's like a nice little, you know, splurge here
So
and
when
there.
I handed you my first coins to get my first drink, when you I wasn't hallucinating when I saw you bite it and eat the coin. I thought you were just biting it to test if it was actually gold. No, you actually ate it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I bit it in half and ate half of it to see if it was gold. You
Oh.
know,
Um well, cool. Good to I was I was always a little unsure about that. I didn't know if I saw that right. Cuz it's something a lot of people do. Whoa. Yeah, I didn't know. I'll have to share some treasures next time.
gold dragons are also known as master hoarders, and so they have incredibly well guarded vaults with
Hmm.
all kinds of magical wards placed near the vault to make it nearly impossible to remove any treasure without the dragon knowing about it. Now, notice that it says knowing about it. It's not nearly impossible to remove the treasure, it's just nearly impossible to do it without alerting the gold dragon. So, the wards and such are not necessarily booby traps to hurt or harm people trying to steal their wealth, but more things to let you know that I know that you're there.
Right. I remember the first
Yeah.
time I it was before we had known each other for a year. I was still a little bit more of my mischievous stage, and I was very curious um to I think I might have discovered I discovered your hoard, but it was very clear that you knew about it afterwards. Like I wasn't fooling anybody.
Yeah, one of my favorite traps is a trap that once triggered teleports you outside.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
It's
I,
just really simple. And it's one of the best things is like it's on a tiled floor and it's not necessarily easy to remember which tile activated the teleportation.
yeah, it's very nice tiling, by the way. It's very, very ornate. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Is done by this elvish designer like 3,000 years ago, I think
Wow.
roughly.
Oh man, very nice.
Yeah. He's actually reincarnated like 4 times now, and
Whoa.
he's actually uh, he's actually an architect now, making
Oh.
some really good stuff too.
Huh. I guess art can take many forms in different lives. Huh. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Gold dragons are often known to have great foresight for the world with their great wisdom,
Mm.
and so this can often seem cold as they're kind of they have show restraint sometimes in their effects, right? So like the bronze dragon will get right up there and be like, "This is wrong, and I'm going to stop it," and we'll fight. But a gold dragon sometimes will calculate the impact that a certain culture might have on a nation as a whole 500 years from now,
Yeah.
and the effects that it'll have on the health of the planet or the plane, the material plane as a whole. And
Mm.
so, yeah, there might be a leader who's doing some stuff now, but if you pay attention to the politics, you'll see that his son, who is going to take over, is completely not on the same wavelength. So it might
Mm.
be the next 30 years of rule might be tyranny and a lot of hardship, but come the rule of his son, it really is going to lead into a new era. And even though the other kingdom might be overall kind of more benevolent, they might not uphold rights for women, where the son of this dictator is all about freedom for all.
Right.
And so it's kind of looking into the future and having that great foresight, which can make them sometimes seem disconnected and uninterested. And it's just that it's not that they don't value, mortal life in that kind of brevity of, and it's just that they know. And also they'll do things like to stop a horrible plague from spreading throughout an entire, throughout the entire material plane, but specifically just an area. A gold dragon might take it upon themselves to burn it to the ground and kill everyone inside. And it's like, well, that's not good. And it's like, well, I'm looking at the impact that suffering will have. If these
Right.
people are suffering and horrible, suffering these agonizing, painful deaths, um, I don't want that to spread everywhere. And I may not have the time or the resources to cure all those people. And so, yeah,
It's
you don't want a gold dragon at the beginning of COVID.
Oh man. That's
So
no thanks.
he sees the greater
we're
impact.
Goodbye,
Um,
Wuhan.
yeah, so gold dragons are also known for their objectivity in that sense. So they try to remain impartial when it comes to their judgment and
Mm.
often refuse to let their personal feelings get in the way of what's fair or necessary. And that's why that thing of like, oh, it's not fair. You burn down this whole town. It's like, well, it is what's necessary from their
Yeah.
perspective.
Mm. That's tough. That's definitely tough. I mean, having that sort of absolute sense of good and being around for a really long time helps a lot to aid your judgment. But yeah, everyone's perspective is, different. Whew.
Yeah. There's also a famous gold dragon that started a war uh, to like bring all of the races and all of the different creatures in the entire material plane under one kingdom.
Wow.
Um, and he was going to rule over it, and he was just, it's going to be this utopia. Was kind of his goal, and it worked. It worked okay, but some gods had some stuff to say about it. Um,
Right.
some of the gods that lean towards more of the chaos side and the freedom side and the choice side of life, raised some paladins against him. And, there were some evil gods who just didn't want that kind of stuff to happen. And so worked on mobilizing some cults. And
Yeah.
it was a bit off more than he could chew, but he's still around. He faked his death
Oh
at the end of
wow.
that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Damn. Well.
Because he did the
Uh,
whole war under the guise of a human king. So,
oh shit. Yeah,
yeah.
the kind of concept of a gold dragon starting a war is it's a little alien to me. Like that's I don't know. You're so anti-war. Um,
Well, it's that foresight again. He
I
thought
guess.
the impact that would have, over eternity would be immeasurably beneficial. And I agreed with him. I definitely did not try to stop him. I thought that
Mm,
it didn't start as a war. We'll put it that way. It started as a coalition,
yeah.
but then there was resistance and it turned into a war, but it didn't start that way.
Right.
We'll put it that way.
Okay. I see.
Um,
Hmm. Things tend to spiral like that. Yeah. Huh.
yeah.
Wow.
He's a cool guy. We should I have no idea where he is these days.
Invite him over for drinks.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. Well, yeah, this has been a great history lesson for me. I mean, I thought I knew a bit about dragons, but I mean, of course,
Yeah,
I've only
he
been
he
like,
quit. He quit when his advisor poisoned his soup. Uh,
ooh,
and he could taste the poison. He knew exactly what kind it was, and it hurt, but it wasn't like wouldn't even come close to killing him. It would have killed any human
yeah.
3, 4, 5 times over instantly.
Mm.
And so he pretended to die, and yeah, she took over as the leader right after that, and he just they put his body in a prison cell, and he just broke out the next day, and they just assumed that it was like some sort of blessing or miracle that his body was exhumed by the divine. Because
Yeah. Wow, and people didn't know that he was a gold dragon after that?
I don't think anyone ever figured it out. There were definitely rumors that he wasn't human
Mm.
because you know the whole thing took like 120 years, and so it was like, hey, he's getting pretty old, and he
Right.
doesn't look old. He doesn't look that much older.
Yeah.
He tried to make himself look older and older, but there's a certain point where it's like, where do you put more wrinkles?
Right. Yeah. You can go a little overboard.
He was too spry, I think, ultimately.
Yeah, yeah. Doesn't matter how old you look if you're, up and about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. In peak physical shape.
So I just want to quickly mention, if you want to know how to roleplay your dragons in your Dungeons and Dragons game as a dungeon master, or if you're looking to play your dragonborn better or something like that,
Mm.
or a half dragon, and you're looking for what makes a dragon, if you go to their, especially on D&D Beyond, if you look up their stat block of the dragon and you click on it and you scroll down, or if you go to the dragon page in your your monster manual, you can find these tables. I think they might be in the Dungeon Master's Guide. These tables with this particular information, but D&D Beyond, you can absolutely find it. That's a real resource that you have access to. I know
Mm.
it's free, and the dragon information is free and easy to get to. So if you scroll down, especially in the ancient dragons, I haven't tried any of the dragons, but you'll see these tables,
Mm.
and the tables have traits and ideals, which are associated with, like, kind of like when you're creating a character, that the bonds, traits, flaws, and ideals, things like that.
Yeah.
So each dragon has its own table of ideals, right? So if you look at the copper dragon, the copper personality dragon traits are: I am generous with my time. I'm just going to read the first sentence rather than the whole thing. Number 2 is I love music. Number 3 is I find the notion of trade and barter fascinating. Number 4, there is no sound I love more than laughter. Number 5, I enjoy all games. I enjoy games of all kinds. Number 6, I admire how brightly short-lived creatures shine before their light goes out. And so those are some examples of that. Their ideals are like, for the copper dragon, are beauty, curiosity, creativity, change, fairness, and cruelty. Um, Specifically, cruelty is: existence is a cruel joke. You can either be in the joke or be made a fool by it. And that's if you want your dragon to be evil, which, is an option.
Mm.
And then there are adventure hooks. So if you want your dragon to give out an adventure. So at the beginning of this episode, I did a little joke about a wizard who knows a great evil that needs to be unknown. And that comes directly from the adventure hook table for gold dragons. There is number 2: a scholar has learned a secret so dangerous that a gold dragon is set on magically wiping the scholar's mind. The dragon is
Ah.
recruiting trackers to locate the scholar, while the scholar tries to hire bodyguards. So it's literally a plot hook that you can just dump right into your game and tweak
Mm.
just a little to fit, or just take it straight up as is. There's 8 of those for each dragon, and it really gives you a good sense of the dragon's personality immediately just by reading some of these. And then you can choose the one you want or the ones you want, and either tailor them or take them just as is, from the traits and personality and ideals and their hooks. If you look at their hooks, you can also get a good sense of who they are. Like if we look at an ancient silver dragon, one of the hooks is: a disgraced knight tries to escape the attention of a silver dragon whose kindness the knight once took advantage of. And so that kind of
Ooh.
shows you, their personality in a sense, right? Something they care about. An adventurer's funeral takes a surprising turn when a silver dragon arrives to pay respects, right? So it's kind of, it gives you a deeper look into the dragon. And if you also, in that thing, you'll find more information about these dragons, like dragons of virtue, friends of small races, respect for humanity, hoarding history. And so, like, these are kind of things that, those are like the little headers that go into these bodies of paragraph bodies that kind of explain more about the dragons. This is specifically the silver dragon thing I'm referencing. Yeah. So, and that's where I got the information about dragons,
Huh.
silver dragons referring to things as a court sometimes,
That is
instead of a
super
lair
interesting.
or a horde. So those are uber easy ways to just jump right into the role play of role playing one of these, silver dragons, especially if you're looking at like an ancient dragon who you're not really looking for the players to be an adversary of, but more someone who they interact with to grant quests or boons or just to be interesting or to help them along their way, something like that. It can immediately give you so much personality for these dragons and so much history just immediately, where it's like, oh, okay.
And that goes for both the chromatic and the metallic dragons. Just how each metallic dragon has an evil trait. There is a trait among the chromatic dragons that could be considered good. So there are a lot of ways that you can kind of shape and find out more about these dragons to better fit your campaign.
Yeah.
Whew. Speaking of which, I am going to get Josh the dragon over here as soon as possible, right after I go find the scholar. Where did you say he was again?
So you're going to want to look. So it's just past the Beaverly Hills. You want to go.
Oh, wait, hold on. I have a spell that can track his position.
I don't think it'll work, but you can try. I'm pretty sure he subscribed to the Ring of VPN.
Ah, damn it. All right, that's going to make my life harder, but all right. Beaverly Hills.
Good luck on that quest.
Yeah.
Yeah,
thanks.
Beaverly Hills. The coast.
Thanks for the drink. All right. See you next time.
Get out of my town.
All right.